Hey folks, Chris Good here, and by popular demand, a subscriber asked, hey, why don't you post a video on how to cut the fret slots? Let's take a look at that Toolpath. And I guess I forgot to put that in there, and this is kind of an important step because you need frets on your fretboard. Here's how I do it, and I do it a little tiny bit different. If you remember from a previous video, when we were radiusing the fretboard, instead of modeling the actual width of the fret slots, the only thing I did was added this last sketch element, which has these curves that we projected to this surface, this curved radius surface, and then we sunk them to the depth that our fret tanks would go down to, which is about, I think, 74 thousandths of an inch or something like that. And you can see that they actually sit below, right, embedded in the fretboard, just like the bottom of the fret slot would be. But these aren't, these are just sketch elements, right? These are just curves, right? So instead of modeling the actual slot and then carving that out using a pocket, I'm going to use a trace toolpath, and that's going to be the path that my fret slot cutting bit that I got from PreciseBits, and I'll link to the one that I got in the description of this video. That's the path that it's going to follow. So let's go over to the manufacturer's side, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. So I've already got a setup here. That's kind of what I was starting with my stock. And there's a bunch of other things that we have to do, right? So I've got to cut the holes for the dots, and then actually on the CNC we leave it down when we glue in the dots, and then we do this parallel contour this parallel cut with the ball end bit, and it rounds over the radius and also trims off the tops of the dots that we're in. And then we do this pocket to cut out the outside of it as well, and to cut the slot for the nut. And actually around the outside was this contour right here that we do right before we round the thing down, and then we cut the nut slot. And the last thing, the very last thing that we do, is we create a new two-dimensional trace, and we're going to choose not the 1/4 inch. That would be a really big fret slot. We're going to choose the PreciseBits fret slot bit that I've got, and here's the link that I'm going to put down there in the description. This is a 23/1000ths diameter bit and an 1/8 inch shaft. So we select that as our cutting tool. We're going to make sure that your feeds and speeds, I'm going to go actually way down to about 30 inches per minute over here. And in the geometry, with a trace toolpath, you get curve selections. And these are the curves that we want. All 21, 20 something, however many frets that you have, you need a slot for each one of them. And oh, I haven't been in Fusion in a long time, but it's good to be back. I miss cutting stuff out on the CNC at my makerspace, Decatur Makers, also in the description below. Okay, those are the paths. The last thing that we want to do is this. Listen, these bits are not cheap. They are pretty expensive, and so you need to be real careful with the feeds and speeds, but you also want to make sure that you are doing axial offset passes, and you want to set your maximum step down at no more than half the diameter of the bit, and ours is 23 thousandths, so I'm going to do half of that, which is 0.115. All right. No, that's that's 11 and a half. Yeah, that'll do it. So that's the maximum step down that we do. I'm going to bump this up, number of step downs, to about 3. I do want them to cut both ways. And I'm going to add a 1/8 inch pass extension to this. And what this does is when the bit is cutting left to right, it's going to go beyond the edge of the fretboard in this direction and then beyond the fretboard in that direction as well, just to make sure that it's not leaving a little nib behind that you need to clear out later on. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Right? Okay, so if we simulate this, let's zoom in on fret number 1 down here. Let's see what it's going to do. It's going to drop in. Oh, you know what? I'm going to make one more edit. It's cutting one cut all the way down, and then it's going to start over again. So instead of doing that, to prevent it from doing that, I forgot to check one more box here on the passes, which is order by depth. You uncheck that box, and it's going to cut all of them one slot at a time. It's going to do all those passes one slot at a time. Let's see if that fixed it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Great. So we're doing 8 passes to get down to 74 1/1000ths with a 23 thousandths diameter bit. It might be a little aggressive, but when I run this, I'm not breaking bits. That's not actually what breaks these bits. It's other stupid errors that I make. But this works for me. Post in the comments, send pics if you got any successes, and I'd love to see those guitars that you guys are making. Thank you. We'll see you in the next video.